Football Twitter tacticos need to be stopped. Football analysis used to be about who scored, who missed, and who got sent off. Now it feels like you need a PhD in quantum mechanics just to understand a tweet about Omar Marmoush. I don't know about you, but I love the data-driven football debates, diving into the statistical traits of players, breaking down heat maps, and using the undeniable numbers to back up my opinion. There's something satisfying about shutting down a vague eye test argument with cold, hard facts. Seeing a point dismantled by XG, progressive passes, and defensive actions feels like a win on its own. But even I know there's a line to be drawn. Stats are powerful tools. They're not the be-end, end-all. They don't capture context, the flow of a game, or those intangibles that make football beautiful, moments of brilliance, and the pure chaos of the sport. Yet, somehow, football Twitter's self-proclaimed tacticos have made it their mission to reduce the game to spreadsheets and scatterplots. Suddenly, a player can't be world-class unless their passing network looks like a spider's web, and a forward is a bum if his XG underperforms. It's exhausting. These tactics-obsessed analysis hijack conversations, throwing around jargon to sound insightful while ignoring the simple things that make football so captivating. The game isn't played on a spreadsheet. There's nuance, emotion, and a magic that can't be measured. Yet, week after week, they double down, convinced their graphs and radars are the ultimate truth. Omar Marmoush operates in the half space between causality and chaos. His velocity isn't speed, it's spatial entropy. He doesn't run behind the defence, he quantum leaps into unoccupied X-threat zones, disrupting vertical compactness and destabilising low block temporal integrity. Quantum leaps. Apparently Omar Marmoush has now joined the Avengers and is quantum leaping through the multiverse.
I'm sorry, you're saying there's a multiverse?
Watch out, Dr. Doom, they've just added a new chair to the lineup. I can guarantee that absolutely nobody, and I mean nobody, has ever used that term in football or the history of professional sports. Imagine one of Pep's assistants coming up and saying, "Watch out for Saka on the right wing, he's going to use his G-force movement to bend tactical dimensions beyond recognition." Pep would probably right hook him into next week. Football Twitter tacticos come up with the most basic analysis, and then they whip out their granddad's thesauruses, searching for any big word that sort of fits to make their takes seem high IQ. Just take a look at this. Pep deceived us. There is no such thing as a holding midfielder, at least in covering space, only in terms of instincts. I don't even know how to explain this one. No such thing as a holding midfielder. I guess Rodri won the Ballon d'Or by being a waiter or electrician. And the only time this actually makes sense is if you watch Casemiro as the number 6 in Ten Hag's midfield. Apparently football Twitter's no new thing has discovered the holding midfielder position is a lie, unless your name is Declan Rice. He's the modern day Aristotle, who found out the earth was actually round. What a profound discovery. I'm sure football managers worldwide are no longer going to use a DM because it doesn't even exist, right? You can be angry about Núñez missing those chances. No problem. But transition control and excessive verticality IP were bigger issues today.
What does that mean? I literally have no idea what that is supposed to mean.
Excessive verticality. What does this even mean? That is all I genuinely have on that one. Nobody knows what that means. It is clear that Conor Bradley is a supremely talented right back. At only 21 years of age, his performances have been consistently exceptional. There are elements of Trent Alexander-Arnold's game that Bradley cannot replicate. Deep penetration, low block manipulation, but he provides solutions that Trent cannot. Deep penetration? I thought we were talking about football here, not about his OnlyFans. I suppose though, if that were the case, Jarell Kwanzaa would be on the agenda here. Then we move on to the phrases. Somehow football tacticos have infiltrated our vocabulary. There are now mind-boggling words used to describe the most simplest of actions. A player puts their foot on the ball to stop it moving. Pausa. If I see or hear the word pausa one more time, I'm starting a petition to call goal kicks momentum resets and throw-ins as dynamic game restarters. A player who is so good they win matches on their own. You would think calling them match winners would suffice. Nope. Game breakers. Don't even get me started on field tilt. I'm not even going to touch that one. It honestly sounds like half of these guys went to ChatGPT and asked them to come up with phrases. So as a test, let's come up with our own and just show how stupid these online tacticos are. Kinetic congestion collapse, KCC. The phenomenon where high pressing causes defensive lines to compact so tightly that the ball enters a state of tactical singularity, unable to escape without a progressive disruptor. Fluidity resonance mechanism, FRM. A system where players mirror each other's movements in perfect synchronicity. producing attacking flows that destabilise static defensive setups. Synthetic overlap sequencing, SOS, a complex rotation pattern where multiple players simulate overlapping runs to distort opposition marking schemes, creating false layers of threat. Spatial interference manipulation, SIM, when a player occupies an irrelevant position purely to alter opposition defensive patterns, effectively ghosting defenders through psychological displacement. Don't get me wrong, I can't wait to get the call up to manage Barcelona in a few years with these innovative phrases. Okay, look, obviously not all tacticals are like this. There are truly some really good analysis out there. The overlap breakdown, for example, with H and Umir. They don't shovel a Caesar word salad down your throat. They explain things that most people will understand. No made up phrases, no words that will earn you over 35 points in a game of Scrabble. Just simple football terms. Then we have the likes of Mohamed Fatali. Simple words, complex analysis, easily understandable. Here, he doesn't say Argentina's mastery of temporal overload dynamics dismantled Brazil's press. That second goal was a quantum masterpiece. Brazil pressed with a dual axis disruptor, but Scaloni deployed Emi Martinez in a deep gravitational split, manipulating spatial entropy and extending Brazil's pressing compression index. No, he simply told us Emi Martinez got more involved to combat the two-man press on the two centre-backs, making this a 3v2 and not a 2v2. Others who have good analysis include Euro expert Connor Holden and Rohit Kumaran. Look, football analysis has come a long way, and diving deep into tactics, stats and player roles can be fascinating. But when the conversation turns into an academic paper or an episode of Doctor Who, it's easy to forget why we fell in love with the game in the first place. Football's about passion, unpredictability and those moments that make us jump off the couch, not explaining transitions with quantum mechanics or inventing phrases that sound like sci-fi tech. And yeah, there are some brilliant analysts out there who bring the game to life. People who can break down complex ideas in a way that makes you a smarter fan, not a confused one. But we can't let the love of data strip away what makes football beautiful. There's room for stats, but there's also room for vibes. So next time you see someone on Twitter rambling about spatial entropy manipulation or excessive verticality, just remember, sometimes a good pass is just a good pass. A good goal is just a good goal, and a good cross is just a good cross. Football's a beautiful game. Let's not turn it into a math exam. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe for more football content that doesn't require a PhD to enjoy. And one thing we will never, ever do is work with people who make this beautiful sport sound like a quantum physics lecture, overcomplicating the game we all love with ridiculous jargon and made up concepts. Wait a second.